Don't move. Keep it locked. You already know. You're listening to the Forfeit Fatherhood podcast. And we're having conversations with dope dads covering the 4 pillars of fatherhood. We call it the Fit Fatherhood Formula. Faith, family, finance, and fitness. That's right. These dads are setting the pace in business and fatherhood. This show isn't only about the outside success. We're getting down to who you are. Gentlemen, it's time to get fit. And now, let's get into the show.
All right. Welcome back to the Forfeit Fatherhood podcast, a podcast for fathers by fathers. We talk about the 4 pillars of fatherhood, which are faith, family, finance, and fitness. And I've got a special guest with me today. Like a lot of the guys that we have on the podcast are guys that I've kind of talked to or read about or listened to, but I've actually got the opportunity to work with this guy. And he's one of the few men that I could say that has beat me up a little bit. I talk all the time about in fatherhood, in life, in business, and really anything. It's always good to have a coach. Even when you think you know everything, there's something about having a coach that closes the gap, that helps you get there faster. And today, my coach, Coach Flea, I think I might be the only person that calls him that, Matt Fleekop, is joining us today. Matt, how you feeling today?
Good, man. I'm good. It's great to be here. And you are not the only one to call me Flea. That's been my nickname. It's my dad.
Yes.
My dad's dad is Big Flea. My dad was Flea, and I was Little Flea. And,
Little Flea.
Over time, hopefully, I got rid of that little part. I could just be Flea. But yeah, man, it's great to be here. Excited to get to chit chat with you a little bit, and you can beat me up a little bit today with some questions. I think you can return the favor back at me.
Nice. I'll take it easy on you. Don't worry.
Appreciate it.
So Matt, tell the fellas a little bit about yourself, and then I guess we can kind of get into how we got to know each other and talk some fatherhood.
Yeah. So like Rod said, my name is Matt. I've been a coach for probably about 10, 15 years now. I started off in the strength and conditioning side of things in the college weight room, working at Purdue, Salisbury, Princeton University, coaching football, lacrosse, hockey, rowing, fencing, every sport, tennis, soccer, golf, you name it, working with athletes in the weight room. When COVID happened, I decided to make a leap of faith and join Future. And this is where I've been for the last 4 or 5 years now. It's where I met Rod and began coaching and working with Rod. In my personal life, I'm a husband, a dad, and an athlete myself. Me and my wife have been married for a little bit over 3 years now. I had to think about it for a second. We're over that like year span, so it's 3. I got to think about it. We got a baby girl who's a toddler now. She's close to 20 months, which is insane, man. It's been life-changing in a ton of great ways, a ton of challenging ways. I'm continuing to learn about myself. And like I said, I consider myself an athlete, although I'm just a weekend warrior, average Joe. I still try to train, prepare, eat, take care of myself like I am an athlete. I recently have gotten into running quite a bit, and I've taken on marathons and things like that. So that's a quick, 360-degree overhead background on me.
That's pretty good, man. You gave a little bit of everything. So that's just pretty good description. So as you mentioned, we connected via Future. And like I said at the beginning of this, like I've obviously been in strength and conditioning, and guys who listen to podcasts know this. Like I'm a coach, been coaching forever, but I don't think that means that you don't need to have a coach, right? Like the thing about me programming for myself is that like I'll change it. Right. I'll get to the gym and I'll be like, oh, 4 sets, huh? 3 sets felt good. All right, we'll move on to the next thing, right? Or like I won't program. I will program, but I'll adjust, right? Like some of the stuff that I hate doing, Bulgarians, like I'll put them in there because I know they're good for me, but then I'll get there and be like, oh, I'll do some split squats instead. It's still hitting the same muscle group, right? So I think that, having you as a coach, being able to kind of lay down like what my goals are, what are the things that I want to work on, and then having you kind of like, then taking my hands off and just trusting you to do what you're going to do has made it for me a more dynamic weightlifting workout kind of session, because I can go into it with a clear head. I'm not thinking about what I was going to do or what I'm supposed to do. I show up, open the app, and I get to it, right? And I think that that's one of the amazing things of having a coach, and having a coach like you, who is taking into account what my goals are and then working towards that and providing the encouragement and providing like the feedback, making adjustments when necessary. Like, I don't think that gets enough outside of like sports, right? Where we talk about like coaches get awards and it's a great coach, and like, but I don't think we give enough credit to trainers and coaches like yourself who on a daily basis are fueling the regular everyday person.
That's huge. Yeah. And I think too, one of the things, you hit the nail on the head with all that. And I think as a dad, as a husband, most men listening to this, we have a ton on our plates already, right? Dad, husband, our careers, 1,000 responsibilities. We're being pulled in a lot of directions. And I think something a coach has responsibility, and as a coach, you want to take that away from other people. Like I when you go to the gym and you got to worry about now thinking of your own workout, thinking about how much weight, reps, sets, doing things you want to do, don't want to do, whatever it is. I think that's our role, is to take all the thinking out of it for you, let you walk into the gym. All right, everything is laid out. Coach has me covered. I just got to walk in and execute. And some days it's kind of a check the box. You could have had a long night, or, going through a lot of work, and whatever it is, you just show up and you check the box. Other days you're going to be able to give 100%. You got a full tank of gas and life is all, sunshine and rainbows, and you can just let it rip and it's there for you. So I think that's one of the benefits. And coaches do need coaches. It doesn't matter what area you're in, sport, training, life, coaches need coaches too. And the last piece, I think too, like I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday, and, we have a toddler and she's not quite into sports yet, right? She's trying to figure out how to walk and, stand up without falling down. And we're like, whether she loves, of course, I want her to pick up the baseball bat, start shooting hoops, start playing hockey. I want her to tackle me and wrestle me. If she's not playing sports, just be passionate about something. And the role of a coach is to support you and help you get better in that. And I think as dads, whether our kids are into something that we love or it's going to be brand new to us, you still can help them get better at all the traits that are going to develop them in life, in this activity, in the sport. So I think that's, my goal as a coach is to help you, obviously, in the gym and training, to help support you and your goals. But if I can make life a little bit easier, a little bit less stressful, less chaotic, then that's huge for both of us, and it carries over into every area outside of the gym too.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? In the last couple of episodes, I've been talking about this idea of leadership is leadership, no matter what kind of title you title that leadership role, like fatherhood, coach, right? Like leadership is leadership, and leaders need leaders, right? I think, even as you're talking about your role as a coach, I'm thinking about it in terms of how, as a father, you coach, right? Maybe not now where your daughter is as young as she is, but like once she gets that like 10 to teen, like 20, like age range, you kind of become the coach, right? You want to set them up in a way that leads them towards their goals. One thing you don't want to do, and what you haven't done for me, like you've laid out a plan for me, but you're like, hey, you still got to go get the struggle in, right? Like you still have to do the work. Like it's going to be hard, but I'm going to set it up for you, get you prepared for it, but you got to go do the hard work. And I think a lot of that, like I'm noticing with my daughters, I got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and the 12-year-old especially is like, hey, I can lay out everything that you need. I'll program exactly what you're trying to do each day. But now you got to go embrace the struggle. And through that struggle, it gives me opportunity to kind of coach her and guide her, have conversations, support and encourage. It kind of allows me to give her a runway to take off from, right? And I think like when we first talked and we were talking about like what my goals were, like you laid out a runway for me and we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I've just been like picking up speed all the way through to kind of get to the point where I wanted to get to. And I think we have to look at a lot of the things that we do through the lens of fatherhood or through the lens of leadership. And there's a lot of things that can be learned from other people, right? Because it would be easy for me being a strength and conditioning coach for like 20 years now as I'm old to be like, oh man, like I can't learn from this guy. Like, but I'm learning stuff from you every day, right? Like the way the workouts are laid out, like doing the eccentrics, doing the different things that we're doing. I'm like, okay. And I feel it too, right? And the same thing in fatherhood. Like there's things that I can learn from you and that I have learned from you from watching you on social media, from reading your newsletter, like that I'm learning from you even in fatherhood, right? Like my daughters are not much older, but they're older than yours, right? But there's things that you're connected to where your daughter is her age that I've lost sight of because my daughters haven't been there in so long, right? The feelings that are new to you that I remember like reading or seeing, like, man, that's something we got to connect back to because that was a special moment and that's something that we got to carry on before we lose it. There's something to be learned from everyone. And that's why I said leaders need leaders. And it doesn't have to be like somebody that's a super expert way down the line. They got 20 kids and 20 years of experience. Like guys who are just getting into it are learning things that are important and experiencing things that are important that we may have lost sight of. Right. So let me also say thank you on giving me like a fresh breath of fatherhood, seeing you and your daughter and the way that you guys are engaging. Were you guys making a cake the other day? Was that a cake?
Yeah. So I had her, we were making muffins.
There we
And
go.
took a picture of her. I said, all right, like, wish us luck. Here we go. We're making muffins. I put the phone down. 2 seconds later, she is covered in flour, water all over her. She looked like in Home Alone when Marv gets like hit with the white stuff all over him. That's what she looked like, just absolutely covered. I was like, this lasted 3 seconds. But no, man, I appreciate that. I think too, not to brown those, but that says a lot about you as someone who has been doing this a lot longer than me, right? Your girls are a lot older than mine, and you are still open to ideas and learning and even just seeing what someone much younger is doing. And I think that's a great sign for anyone. And someone in my shoes who sees you putting out amazing content, sharing the story of you, your wife, your girls, everything. It's awesome. And you posted something a while ago too. You said you don't have to have it all figured out to be able to help somebody, or you don't have to, have every answer to share your story type deal. Yeah. And I think that's so true, man. Like we're always learning from each other. We're always able to share, and none of us, one thing I've learned over the past, 18, 19 months is that none of us have it figured out. The first couple of weeks of being a dad, I was like, there's no way that any dad has all the answers. Like I'm lost right now. I'm clueless of what to do. There's no way somebody has it all figured out, or we would have all those answers too. And we can all, as dads collectively, we can all learn from so much from each other, what we're doing by sharing, by just communicating, talking, and listening. Most of all, listening to the different stories and experiences that we've had. And leaders do need leaders, and you could pull from anywhere. Sports are always a great example. We got March Madness going on, and you could pull so many stories from these coaches, the athletes, with their journeys, what they share. But it could be a musician, it could be a painter. You can learn from anyone in their craft of what they're sharing and doing, and honestly just apply it to your dad, being a husband in so many ways. And I think being a dad, you have to be super open-minded to these different things, ideas, what people are doing and thinking, and how to spin it in your own way. I was thinking about this the other day, like, we were all raised by people, a mom, a dad, a grandparent, and we were all raised by somebody. And we probably take a lot of the great stuff that they have shared with us and placed upon us, and we kind of elevate that to make it even better. And there's things that we might not have liked or loved, or areas that might have been missed out on. And we say, okay, this is how I can change the course for my family and my kids. And I think that's just an awesome opportunity that we all have as dads and husbands and all that, is things that were great, we can make even better. And things that, maybe we wish we would have learned more of or been exposed to or happened differently, we can kind of change that course and write it our own way that we think is best for our family. And the ball is kind of in our court, and it's just an awesome opportunity that we have if we have an open mind with everything.
Yeah. I think you hit something that's really important, because I don't think that guys today have enough, like, have a circle of other guys, right? Like, they don't have a good number of friends. You might have one friend, maybe if you're lucky, according to statistics, you might have three, right? And so that limits your ability to draw from real life resources, right? So then looking out past that, like you said, there's references in sports, there's music, there's business, there's all of these things that we can gain knowledge from. And I think sometimes we get caught up as men in a little bit of ego, and I'm going to figure it out. I can do it by myself. And then we've been taught that, right? Like, we've been shown that through history or through society, is like men have to figure it out on their own, or, there's this badge of honor we wear by solving a problem without any help. But that also leads to a whole lot of unnecessary struggle. And so that's why for me, like, I am looking at anyone and everyone, right? Like, everybody, people I don't agree with, people I agree with, people who are ahead of me, people who are behind me. There's something, like I said, there's something to be learned from everybody. And if you don't have a super tight circle or a group of friends or a band of brothers or whatever you call it, then I'd advise you to lean towards, and I think guys who listen to a podcast like this are guys that would do that anyway. But, if it's your first time listening and you haven't built or cultivated a circle, I highly suggest that you do, even if it's a social media circle, right? Like, these aren't real people that you know, but people that you follow that bring some kind of inspiration and encouragement to your life. I think it not only pays huge dividends for you, but it pays huge dividends for your family. And they're going to benefit from you being a better version of yourself, probably more than you will.
Yeah, there's three things I want to touch on. I'm going to try to remember all three of them from what you just said. Number one is, I think we may have talked about this before, but with our neighborhood, we moved into a new house and something we wanted to do, my wife and I, and I would love this in the future to turn into more of a men's group. But right now we moved in and we said, let's find a way to meet people in our neighborhood, to bring our friends together more. And we started hosting group workouts once a month. And it's just once a month. We have, 10, 15, maybe 20 people come over. We got a nice gym in the garage. Come over, we bring all the equipment outside and we just train together for, 45 minutes. And it's a good workout, but the best part is the social part of it. We get to link up with, a bunch of other parents who are similar to us, new parents, have kids at home. They're going through the same mud that we're going through. And we just have fun and work hard for 45 minutes together. And, you have great conversation. You get to do something that doesn't involve alcohol and eating like crap. And you get to do something productive. And it's a great way to start the weekend. And it brings people together. And I think my long-term goal with that is to do this for the dads as Layla gets older and she goes to preschool, grade school, high school. It's a spot where the dads can get together on a Sunday morning, 8 a.m. And, whether it's 10 of us or 50 of us, we all train hard together for a half hour, grab a coffee, have a conversation. And it's a small little culture, a community that we've built in the neighborhood. And it is hard, man, as we get older, that the circle continues to shrink. And if we can find a way to create it, or like you said, social media, use that. And I think that's huge. Number two is just the social part of social media. It is called social media, and a lot of us don't really use it to be social. We use it for scrolling and to let our mind get away from reality for a few minutes, whatever it is. But if we do try to be social and meet people, connect with people, I think a lot of times, you see people on social media and you're like, he's probably busy with X, Y, Z, or I don't know. I feel intimidated to send a message or reach out to this guy. People are happy to have conversation. And like we said before, right? No one's got all the answers. None of us are pros or experts at this. We're all always happy to help and have a conversation and grow our own circle as well. So I think, using social media to actually be social is key. It's huge, and it could be a great benefit if we use it that way. And the last part, I just remembered it. It should have been the first part. But when you said, us guys, a lot of us men, we want to problem solve, and this has probably gotten us in so many little arguments and conversations with our wife when she has something going on and she explains it to us, and we immediately come back with 10 different solutions. And all she wanted was an ear, somebody to listen to and just hear her and agree, whatever it is. She just wanted someone to listen to her. And we come back with 10, 15 different solutions. And I think sometimes in that realm, we have to learn and figure out through trial and through error when is the right time to dial in with some solutions, or when we just got to listen and realize, like, hey, she just wants me to listen and she'll figure this out on her own. Just like we want our kids to figure things out on their own. Like we might lay out a roadmap and help guide, but they want to figure it out. And it's the same for our wife a lot. They might not want us to shoot out 10 different answers when we can just listen to the problem, and they just needed someone to hear them that they had a bad day at work. And I think, those different things are all things that we kind of learn and make mistakes on, but we figure out the more we kind of put ourselves in those situations.
Yeah. Specifically with the wife thing, and I'm having to learn, and you'll figure this out too when your daughter gets older, is that they're pretty much the same. I'm having to learn there's a solutions versus sympathy response, right? It's like, okay, so you dumped all that on me. Now, do you want a solution? Because I while you were talking, I put something together. Or do you just want sympathy? You just wanted to like vent and get that out, right? And I think as you get more in tune with your partner, and this comes with some work, you can decipher which one they're looking for, right? Initially, I would ask, and I don't do that anymore because it never really went over well, but I was just like, hey, do you want me to help you with this, or do you want me to hear you? And that just doesn't go well. They're like, don't do that. I'll just give you guys some advice. Like, that's not the best question to ask after she gives you all her emotions. Mm-hmm. You need to decide how to best address what happened. But that comes through conversation. That comes through spending time and really getting to know outside of what's going on. And this is something I used to tell guys when we're doing a little bit more relationship coaching, my wife and I together, is that you have to talk war in times of peace. And what I mean by that is that you have to have the tough conversations before you get into the arguments, right? Because if we can talk about like some things that I like versus what you like, or things you want to happen versus things I want to happen when we're doing good, right? Because normally as men, we want to avoid that. Like, we don't want to have those conversations. We want to stay out of that as much as we can. Having that understanding before you get into it, right, allows you to get out of it faster. right? Because now you have an understanding of how she feels about a certain thing. And once you guys kind of get into this quote unquote war, you know how to diffuse it. Right. You got to cut the red wire first. Right. Otherwise, you're caught in the middle of it with no idea of how to handle it. And that happens, like I said, same thing with my daughters. Well, my oldest more than my youngest, because she's about to be a teenager. And she'll come home and she's telling me about all this stuff that happened at school, and so and so said this and so said that. And I'm like, all right, well, this is how wait a minute.
Off the breaks.
You don't need a solution right here. One, because you need to figure it out, right? Like, you need to be able to be the one to manage your situation and your environment. So I can empathize with you, and I can kind of give you some guidance on some things that may or may not be happening, or how I may work through it. But ultimately, you've got to be able to do it on your own. But I think that's something that's super important, because most of us listening have a partner, whether we're still with the mother of our children or not. That's a 50-50 thing, just based on how the world is. But there is some managing of relationship that we all have to have as men in order to function at a high level.
Yeah, 100%. And we always want to have the answer, the solution. I love that. What was it? Solution or sympathy?
Solutions or sympathy. Yeah.
I love it. I remember, and like, even just, I'm about to say it almost makes me sick, but I would ask my wife, you want Coach Matt, or you just want me to listen? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I would say that stuff to her like that. It makes me sick just saying it out loud. Like, what? It just sounds terrible. But because I'm like, and like you said, man, like, just asking that question probably isn't the best. Like, you get a read on what is going to be best and how to respond after experience, after times. And I think that's huge. Having the conversation beforehand, when things are at peace, before they're at war. And when we are at war and emotions are hot, we don't always have the best outlook, and we might not slow down and think before we speak, or we might just say things that they come out way quicker than they should. And that's something in any relationship. And again, this could be husband, wife, this could be with our kids, it could be coach, athlete, like, it could be anything. Communication is always going to be key. And the more you can communicate and be on the same page, and you tackle a problem before it arises, and you think ahead of, all right, like, things are going this way. If they continue, like, we're going to be at this problem. Let's have the conversation now while things are going well, whatever it is. But when you can communicate openly and honestly, truthfully, it will change the game. That's one thing too. Like, we've only been married a few years. Our daughter is less than 2 years old. So we are still learning a lot about each other, about life, and figuring it out. I will say our communication over these 3 years, it continues to evolve and get better. And like, our conversations now, when we go on a date or we go out without the baby, or we're just at home, like sitting on the couch watching TV, our conversation is so much different now than it was, when we first start dating or in a honeymoon phase. It's real, and we can have an open, honest conversation about life, about problems, about issues that we're both going through, whether it's in our own head, whether it's at work, and whatever the problem is, we've been able to communicate it much better. But that did not happen overnight. It took years. And I think on like both of my wife and me, just being open and realizing that, like, it's okay to not have answers. It's okay to feel a certain way or not be happy about X, Y, and Z. Being okay with all that, and then just being open about the conversation, it's been amazing for our relationship. And it's not perfect, and we definitely aren't perfect. We're far from it. But I think just opening the door to conversation early on in the relationship, it sets a great stage and standard for things years later.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think you'll find that it's going to continue to change and to develop and grow. And the conversation that you have will change as your daughter gets older, right? Because her needs for mommy and daddy are going to change. And so your relationship with your wife will change, right? Because when she's young and she needs you guys like a whole lot, you adopt more of mommy daddy roles, right? But as she starts to become more independent, you get to get back into husband and wife more often, right? And so you'll find, and we've found that now that our daughters are like, they want to go hang out with their friends, they got practices, they got rehearsals, they got a ton of things going on. So we find ourselves now with more time to be husband and wife again, right? But I think a lot of times what happens with that, and you know, being in this space, I hear guys talk about like the 7-year itch or 8-year itch or whatever, just all of a sudden out of nowhere, she didn't want to be married anymore, or things start getting rocky in our relationship. And I think what happens without us knowing, because we're caught up in the middle of it, is we've played these parent roles for 7 years, 8 years, right? And then all of a sudden we're supposed to be husband and wife again, but we haven't worked on that. Like we haven't continued to keep that up. And all of a sudden, things are different, right? And she's realizing like you aren't who you were 7 years ago, and she isn't who she was 7 years ago. And so now that you guys are stuck with each other, it's like, I don't know if I want to be with this person. You know what I mean? And so that causes issues. And so I think, what we're talking about, that communication piece is huge, because, well, I mean, not only for you as a father that's listening to this podcast, but like for your children, if not for you, for your children, right? Because we all know that relationship between you and your spouse, or you and the mother of your children, is the first and real relationship that your children get to see, right? You're teaching them healthy relationships, boundaries, love, how to be loved, how to be respected, how to respect, how to treat people. They're learning all that from you firsthand in that relationship. And so, despite how you may feel about that person as things are going on, how you treat that person is large. It's extremely important. I don't think there's any other way to say it, right? And I think something that I learned from my parents, and this is through therapy and having these conversations and talking to my therapist and things like that, is like I learned how to love my wife based on how I saw my parents love each other. Right. And, when they split up, there was this time where like I took it personal when my mom talked about my dad, because it was my dad. Right. It don't matter if that was her husband or not her husband anymore. Like I took it personal when she said bad things about him. And because I was at the center of my life. Right. And I think kids don't understand everybody like that. Right. They don't have a full 360 view. I think as we get older, we understand that other people matter a little bit more. But as kids, everything is about them. Right. Mommy is mommy because of me. Daddy is daddy because of me. They're only together because of me. The world revolves around me. And so if you're mad at mom, you're mad at my mom, not your wife, And so they take it personal. And so it's something that we have to think about, like I said, if not even for ourselves, for them and for their growth and their development. But obviously we don't want to be in the middle of conflict, so we better figure it out ourselves too.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it is, our kids are learning everything firsthand through us. Everything we do, they see, they learn, they take in, and it's their first time seeing it. And they think mom and dad are geniuses, are experts. They think mom and dad know everything and have all the answers, and mom and dad are doing everything the right way, which is great for us, right? Our kids think we are the smartest person in the world. They think we're the strongest, we're the best at everything. But if we don't set the right example, they're learning how not to do things, and that's how they will do it. So it's much easier said than done. You live your life like your kid's going to learn everything you're doing. It's much easier to say that than to live that and do it every single minute of the day. None of us are perfect, but keeping that at the top of mind and trying to just set an example of the different traits, qualities, principles that you believe in, so that your kid can pick up those same ones and live them through what you are showing every single day. I mean, I think about this a lot, is like the way that I love my wife and the way I talk to her and treat her. Like this is what my daughter will see growing up, is how this guy, my dad, treats my mom. And like, I don't, I want her to see that and be like, damn, this is the standard. This is how every guy should be treating me. Or this is, if someone isn't like this, then that's not the right way. And having that example, not just of how we treat our wife, but how we handle our work, our business, ourself, how we treat other people at the grocery store when we're going out, doing all these things the right way to set an example. Our kids will pick this up firsthand, and a lot of times be a direct reflection of ourselves in so many ways that we might not recognize. And I think if we set the right example, one, it's going to make us a lot better too. And we will love what we see in the person that we're raising, doing the things the right way, practicing the same values that we preach, that we believe in as men, as a family. It's hard to do it all the time, but if we can practice it as often as possible and slow down once in a while, truthfully, just slow down a little bit in certain situations, I think it will be a game changer for families, for our kids to see it, to live it. And, at the end of the day, it'll make them that much more of a better person and more prepared for the real world that they're going to be living in.
All right, fellas. Hey, man, listen, finance is an extremely important part of fatherhood. And so instead of me telling you about it, just like the fitness segment, just like the faith segment, I brought in an expert financial advisor, financial planner. This is Ravi Chan. He actually is a father of a child that goes to school with my daughter. So super excited to have him. Going to be sharing some information over the next few weeks to hopefully strengthen you guys in the financial front, just like we're strengthening you with fitness, just like we're strengthening you with faith, and we're sharing great stories from other fathers. So stay tuned and check out what Ravi has to say.
Hey everyone, my name is Ravi Chan. I'm a financial advisor with MRC Financial Services. I've been a financial planner for over 12 years and I've worked in the industry for over 19 years. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking to you about different areas of financial planning, from estate planning, tax planning, retirement, investments, the various types of insurance like life insurance, disability, long-term care. I'm excited to bring you a different approach to thinking about your finances. Rather than looking at purchasing individual products and services, my hope and goal would be to help you look at it from a different lens of taking more of a planning approach and to be able to let your plan drive the different financial products and solutions that you acquire along the way in your portfolio. So look out for me to share in the upcoming weeks different tips and to be able to help you understand, in the most simplest way possible, how to think through some of those areas. So I look forward to sharing more with you in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. You said something there that I think is something we can lean into is like, your kids think you're the smartest person in the world and you're strongest person in the world. They think you know everything, right? And so your job on a daily basis, no pressure, is to make sure that they're right. Right. Is to make sure that, you are living up to the pedestal that they put you on, right? That you're doing all that you can to stay there, have more access to people, and there's more conversations being had, and social media, internet, and all that stuff. We hear all kinds of childhood trauma type stuff, right? Like, mommy issues, daddy issues, father wounds, mother wounds, right? All of those things exist because of something that happened in someone's childhood. And so as fathers, as leaders, we're responsible for someone's childhood. Right. Like, I think we have to take that and put a little bit more weight on it. Like, you're responsible for the childhood of your child, and that's going to be formative. It's going to determine who they're going to be in life based on how you are with them now. And so it's up to you. And it's a big responsibility, right? It's a big weight on your shoulders, but that's why you have to kind of stay after making yourself better, building yourself up, becoming a better version of yourself, because you have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that you provide that for them as an example. Not just about providing money or providing a roof over their head, food in their mouth and all that kind of stuff, but there's a emotional responsibility. There is a psychological responsibility as well that I think a lot of times we leave off the table because we're so concerned about, we got to make money, right? Like, I got to pay the bills. But there's other parts of us that our child needs that maybe aren't so tangible. Speaking of example, and obviously we both are in the fitness space and that's how we got connected. I think too, in the fitness realm of things, us taking care of our body, how we eat, what we do in terms of workouts, is extremely important as well, because we have the ability to help our children understand the importance of their physical health. And they get to do that through seeing us, right? I'm sure you're experiencing it now, and it happened to me and it's still happening. As my kids see us working out, right? And then they they're little, they can't really do anything, but they're trying their best to do what you're doing, right? They're trying to emulate you, and you're creating a healthy relationship with fitness, right? You're creating a healthy relationship with food, which I think probably lasts longer than, telling them not to touch that or don't do this or get down from there. I think you're teaching longer lasting lessons in fitness and health that I don't think we see a lot of times, right?
Yeah. And when you think about it too, like, we are given one body our whole life. And a lot of us, we don't take care of it like it's the only body we're going to get. We think we're going to get a new body every 12 weeks. I'm going to train hard for 12 weeks, get a new body. It's like, man, we got this one body from day one, and it's going to stick with us till the end. We might as well take great care of it. And what I've seen, I mean, the first couple months Layla was born, we're up and down off the floor a million times. I'm like, dude, if I'm like not in shape, if I'm not strong, if I'm not able to, do split squats up and down off the ground and pick her up 100 times up and down the steps, hold her, walk her around. Like, this stuff is hard, man. Like, it's a workout being a parent, and it's a day in a life could feel like a marathon sometimes, like just trying to survive the energy we need to be a great dad, a great husband, to kick ass at work. We got to take care of our body if we want to do it really well. And the things that we can teach our kids through fitness, not just in terms of taking care of themselves and being healthy and strong and all that, but from a confidence standpoint, from discipline, from resilience, from consistency, from just showing up and doing something that you might not want to do, even though it's important and you should do it. You tell yourself, like, I want to work out 3 times a week. If you do it, you're going to become more confident. You're going to believe in yourself just by following through on what you said. And I think fitness and eating healthy, these things are just gateways to help us get better in so many areas of life. And all the things that make fitness hard, the same things that make being successful at our job hard, our relationship, right? Consistency, showing up when you don't want to, pushing through discomfort, doing the thing you don't want to do, whether it's a split squat or a Bulgarian, whatever it is. When you can do these things over time, it's going to make you so much of a better person. And I think, the cool thing about training is you don't see benefits right away. There's no instant gratification. It's like life. I think it was Jeff Bezos who said you become it took 10 years to become an overnight success. It's the same thing with fitness and training. You don't see big changes by one workout or eating one healthy meal. It might take months. It could take years, but those deposits that you make every single day, week, month along the way, they all compound and add up over time into something really amazing. So I think fitness is just it's an amazing thing that if we could teach our kids and we can show them, lead by example, it can change their life for the better for forever. It's a skill, man. Like we said, we're in our 30s, our 40s, our 50s. If we can take care of our body, it's not just helping us live longer, it's helping us live better. I want to be able to, when Layla is my age, I want to be able to do the things I'm doing now with her kids or her grandkids if I'm lucky. All these things, I want to keep doing it. And if we don't take care of our bodies and give ourselves a chance, it's going to be pretty damn hard to get up and down off the ground, to chase our grandkids around, to walk with them when they graduate, to help them move from their out of their apartment to their first house. So, all these different things that would be an amazing thing to experience and do, training, working out, building our strength, our fitness, eating well. It gives us a chance to do it at a high level. And I think, as much as we talk about making money and supporting our family that way and becoming the best at our job and all these different things, making sure you're there to experience life with your family is a big time flex as well. And it's something that's important. And you see the meme all the time, or like that Instagram reel. It's like, when you retire and when you're dead, no one's going to remember how much money you made or how many hours you worked, but they'll remember the time they had with you. And if you were there with them at their sports and this and that and all these other things. And obviously you need to have a certain foundation for your family and yourself and all that, but taking care of yourself through training and getting stronger and build the muscle and being fit and having an engine that can, withstand a full day, a full weekend, all these things, is nothing more important than that. And being able to be present for your family. I think that's what training does. And it's funny now, like Layla, she's 19, 20 months and she's starting to every day. I'm like, we're going to do push-ups together. She's starting to like go from standing to putting her hands down on the floor. And she just like bends her arms like this. And she doesn't do a push-up, but she's like bending, she's getting it, she's figuring it out. She's got like this little 3-pound kettlebell she lifts up from the ground to the couch. All these little things. It's just funny seeing that they can do this at such a young age. And as they get older, they can continue taking this life skill with them that they start as little kids, and they can bring this with them the rest of their life and just going to keep paying it forward forever. So yeah, man, I think, training and being able to teach this and lead by example with the training and nutrition, it's a gift that we'll just keep giving back to the family for generations and generations.
Yeah. I think you and I both agree on the importance of it. And I think a lot of guys that are listening, or guys that are out there in general, are starting to understand the importance of it. But when it's put up against all of the other stuff that's fatherhood, I think they're like, well, look, I got this to do. I got that to do. If I'm not in great shape, so what? I'm not sick, so I'm eating the way that I'm eating, or my family doesn't eat this way, so I can't eat this way. What is it, or how, I guess, how would a guy get to including fitness in a busy life? What are your suggestions for guys who are making excuses ultimately, but or experiencing some opposition or a little bit of frustration with not being able to get it done?
Yeah, 100%, Matt. I think the biggest thing is recognizing that it doesn't have to be, a 2-hour workout. It doesn't have to be this big thing every single day of the week, right? You can train 3 days a week for 20, 30 minutes, and that's perfect. Get what you can, start from where you are and build up. And, a lot of the new parents I work with, a lot of the parents who do have these crazy demanding schedules, their kids have sports, they're running around from activity to sport to activity. Then they got to go to, it's 100 things. It is a lot, definitely, man. And I always say, what's realistic for you right now? And how can we make this happen? And a lot of times it's, all right, we're going to work out 3 days a week for 20, 30 minutes. And for some people, it means they got to, get some dumbbells at home. And that's perfect. We do a few dumbbell movements, a few bodyweight movements at home, and we just go from there. And most people, especially if you're not doing a ton right now, and you just start doing that 2-3 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes, you will make progress and you will feel great. And that's perfect, right? You don't need to be doing crazy workouts, spending 2 hours in the gym and doing the things we did when we were, 16, 17, 18, 20 years old. I remind myself all that. I'm like, dude, I can't, I don't recover the same way. I'm going to feel this for the next 4 days if I try doing some of the stuff I did back then. So recognize, all right, maybe 20, 30 minutes. That's the best I've got right now. And it sure as hell is better than 0 minutes if that's the alternative. So just being okay with that, and then making it a priority. And maybe it means you're going to bed a bit earlier, or you're waking up a bit earlier, or you're packing clothes and your lunch break, you're, doing push-ups, whatever it is. But if it's important to you, I believe if it's important, you'll find a way to make it happen. You just have to figure out where you can make it happen. And again, for a lot of people, I found it comes down to getting up a little bit earlier and getting to bed a little bit earlier as well, which is tough. But it's a fair trade-off, is getting your workout in, taking care of yourself and seeing those benefits versus, an extra 30 minutes of Netflix or, scrolling your phone in bed, whatever it is that you're doing in the morning and at night. Mix that stuff out, and 20, 30 minutes, a lot to yourself. And I guarantee you, if you communicate that with your partner, your wife, your family, they will fully support you. Like, I don't know how many kids are going to be mad at their dad for working out for 20 minutes, or, my wife isn't going to say, nah, you're not allowed to go in the basement and work out. Like, that's going to get in the way of this. So realize it's okay to do 20, 30 minutes twice, two, 3 times a week, and then communicate it with your family, the people around you, and let them be involved in it and support you. And if you could do those 2 things, you'll be finding your way and get on the right path to at least getting started.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think obviously dependent upon your goal, is like the minimum effective dose,
Yeah.
right? Like, what is maybe not the best way to say it, but what is the least amount of work I can do to get the result that I want?
Yeah.
You have to find out what that is, right? Because I do agree. Like, a lot of guys are thinking, like, when I was, when I was in my 20s and I was in my best shape, I was in the gym for 2 hours a day. And so that's what I got to do now that I'm 40. First of all, you're going to be hurt in like a week. But second of all, like, you don't have the time that a 20-year-old you had, right? Like, 20-year-old you was waking up with a hangover and going to work. Like, 20-year-old you was hitting the happy hour. 20-year-old you didn't have kids to take to school or to do bedtime routines. Like, 20-year-old you had you didn't have a wealth of money, but you had a wealth of time. And so the things have shifted now. Like, you at 40, hopefully, or as you're older, hopefully you have more money, and probably more money than you have time. And so now it's maximizing the time that you have with the minimum amount of work that needs to get done in order to get where you need to get. Now, that being said, right, I'm a guy now. I understand that working out is important. I understand that, 20, 30 minutes a day, if I can get it in, is good. But I have no idea what to do. Like, I'm just trying, I Google some stuff. I'm on social media. So I seen, was it Ashton Hall? You know what I mean? I'm doing my Ashton Hall, splash my face in water. I dive in the pool. Like, I got my whole routine, but it's not working. What is your advice in that regard?
Yeah, 100%. In terms of the workouts, what to do, keep it simple. Like you said, it depends on your goal and all that stuff and how much time you can allot to things. But, if you got 20, 30 minutes, You could do some squats, presses, rows, deadlifts, some arms. You could do that 3 times a week. And if you've dumbbells, you could do dumbbell squats, dumbbell bench press, dumbbell row, dumbbell deadlift, and some bicep curls, tricep extensions, some shoulder raises. Do that 2 or 3 times a week and do it over time. Not for a week, not for 2 weeks, not for 3 weeks. Do it for months. Try to go heavier, try to increase your reps over time, things like that. Add more sets, add a little bit. You will get stronger. You will look better, feel better, perform better, all of those things. And then the second part, I would say nutrition is always a huge piece of the puzzle. It's always tough. And something I've learned now is Layla's eating more foods at the same time, eats less foods. And there's just the dad tax, right? She leaves all this food out, and I'm not trying to waste food. I don't want to see. So we eat a bunch of whatever she's eating. Usually it's the same stuff we eat for the most part, but it just gets put back onto our plate usually. So making good choices from a nutrition standpoint, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I'm not a big meal prep guy. I believe in going out to eat, having fun, enjoying life and all that stuff. But for the most part, when we're at home, I keep it pretty simple. We do a nutrient prep. So instead of prepping meals, because everyone gets sick of the same meal every day, we prep a couple nutrients. For protein, we will prep chicken and ground beef and maybe steak once in a while. If we get steaks and we want to cook it, those are the things we'll prep. And we have that on hand, and those are our go-to for lunches or quick and easy dinners. For carbs, we'll prep pasta, rice, and or potatoes. Those are our main carbs. And then we just eat some vegetables with it. And I think if you can keep things simple, like put a protein, a carbohydrate, and whatever vegetables you like, put them on your plate for your lunch and dinner, you'll be in a good spot. And then for breakfast, things like eggs, toast, oatmeal, protein shakes, stuff like that. Like the simple things that most of your listeners, most everybody listening to this is probably into training, has an idea of what to eat. Most of the stuff that we all know we should be eating and doing is just keeping it simple and executing it. Then making sure you're prepared, like go grocery shopping, buy the things you need ahead of time so that you don't have to say, oh shit, I don't have anything. I'm going to go grab a donut for breakfast. Or I don't have lunch, so I'm going to go get it, 3 slices of pizza and a soda. Just being prepared for stuff and making it easy through the environment that you're in. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. So if I could hit like kind of some takeaways from what you just said is keep it simple, right? Stay consistent and like progressive, right? Like you got to have some kind of progress to it. And just, I mean, I think it's 2025, man. Like I think everybody at this point knows what you should and shouldn't be eating. There's no real secrets anymore. Like the cat's out of the bag. Like this isn't like, the golden age of bodybuilding where there's like secrets around how you eat. Like everybody knows now, right? Because somebody has tried to market or sell a way of eating at this point. Like, so what you should be doing. It's a matter of being consistent and sticking to whatever it is that you say you're going to do, right? And I think, like you said, preparation does a lot to keep that up, right? Because if you have, whether you're preparing the macros of it or you prepare the whole thing, like if you have it prepared, it's a lot easier to make sure that you do it. Versus, like you said, man, I didn't make breakfast or I didn't have any plan for breakfast, so let me grab a donut and a coffee, and that's gonna be my breakfast. The problem with that is it kind of holds you over for like 45 minutes, but then you're starving again, right? And so now your breakfast turns into 2 breakfasts, right? I think one thing too, we talk about the dad tax, and that's a hard one, right? Like I think everybody struggles with that. Is even when you're planning. If you eat the rest of your kid's meal because you don't account for it, right? It's like it was not planned, but she only ate half of her chicken today. So now I got a serving and a half of chicken, and she didn't eat all her potatoes. So now I got 2 servings of potato. Like we are unknowingly adding on, and then like, oh man, why aren't things going the way that I want to? And then we give up. But I think with some preparation and some planning, we can probably better attack that. Maybe knowing that there's going to be some leftovers from our kids. Maybe we shorten up our portions in preparation for that. And if there aren't any leftovers, great. That means she ate everything she's supposed to eat. Perfect. I'm still hungry. I can get a little bit more and finish out my meal versus like, I put everything on my plate that I want to eat and then some, right? And then I'm eating extra. I think that's super important for guys to know. Okay, so we're going to be consistent. We're going to keep it simple, 20, 30 minutes of working out, maybe 3 times a week. If we can get more, we get more, but we're going to do enough to get the job done. What now? Okay, let me back up. You gave us all that information, right? Super helpful. I got it. I understand it. And I'm speaking from the listener, right? That all sounds great, coach. Amazing. But I got too much stuff to think about, right? And this is where we talk about like needing to have somebody else kind of lay down the blueprint or the format for you, kind of give you a roadmap. Can you talk about the importance of coaching? Because I talk about it all the time, right? But they hear from me and you know, I sound like a parent, right? Like I tell my kids this all the time, but they don't listen to dad. But it's always nice to have somebody kind of reinforce, and maybe you'll say it differently, but the importance of having a coach or having someone as a leader or a guide to kind of help you in achieving your goal.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. And I think so many of us, especially a lot of the listeners here, they probably played sports or they were involved in some type of competitive outlet growing up and probably had a coach, multiple coaches growing up. And you remember a lot of your coaches. I remember so many of my hockey coaches, my baseball coaches, I remember so many different things, distinct things about them. And as we get older, we have more on our plate and we think we can handle more. But when we were younger, we had someone take care of all the things for us when we actually had nothing on our plate at all. And now with a full plate, when it comes to fitness, nutrition, all this, we think we can stack even more and handle it. Having a coach, having someone not just to help you program everything in there. Like, I mean, you know firsthand, like everything is programmed in. Our sets, our reps, our weight, our rest periods, everything is in there from start to finish. What stretches we got to do, everything is in there. You literally walk in the gym and you hit the start button on the workout and you're good to go. You don't have to think about a single thing except the effort and pushing for the workout. That's it. I think that's a huge unlock. And you probably felt this too. Like when you run your own programs, you go in the gym, do I do this? Do I do that? And then all these things. And you got a full background in this. Most of us don't. And now you have someone who takes away all that mental energy, all that guesswork, tells you exactly what to do, how much of it to do, how to progress you every single week to make sure you're getting stronger and fitter moving forward. It's a huge unlock in mental space, mental capacity. And then your workouts are structured. They're not a random thing that's not progressing. You're moving forward over time, which is key. And the last thing is just the guidance, the support, the accountability, and the camaraderie. I think now coaching is so much different than it was when we were athletes playing ball, playing sports, where your coach said is what you did. It's a much more collaborative experience now. I think that's a great thing that, you know, what I program for my athletes, for you, all right, it's not set in stone. It's kind of written in a pencil. And if we're feeling like crap or we're traveling, we got a hotel or whatever it is, we can erase it and put something new that fits better for that given day. So you have someone who is there to make adjustments with you, to adapt on the fly as you need. You have someone to guide, support, be in your corner and listen to you. I think as a coach, that's number one is you're there to support, to guide, to hold accountable and help someone do something that they might not have thought they were able to do. And if you can do those things for a long period of time, the consistency, the accountability, the discipline, the willingness to listen and adapt, you do that over time with somebody, you're going to make more progress than you could have ever imagined. And, you know, even for myself, I have a coach too for my run training. Do I need one? I don't need one. I could do this stuff on my own too. But if I want to get somewhere faster and I want to do it faster and stronger and better than before, I'm going to pick someone and hire someone to help me get there who has done it or has the experience to help me get there and can kind of support me, guide me, and just say, hey, listen, like you got to do X, Y, Z, and you're not holding your end of the bargain. Someone to hold you accountable. I think that's what a coach is for. And like we started off the conversation, man, coaches need coaches. Everyone benefits from having a coach, from having another set of eyes and ears on them. And I think too, man, like we said too, as guys now, as we get older, our circle continues to shrink, and putting a coach in your circle, in your corner, makes it a little bit bigger. And I think it just makes a huge difference. And a coach is someone who's there for you and will make a big time change for you, whatever goal you have. So yeah, man, I think we all should have them and put them in our corner in many different areas, aside from just health and fitness, but in other areas.
All right. Before we jump back into the conversation, I want to share something special with you from our brother, Pastor Aaron of the Daily Drip podcast. Every week, he'll be sharing a short message to help us strengthen our faith, challenge our perspective, and walk this fatherhood journey with more purpose and spiritual awareness. So take a minute, lean in, and let this one sit in your spirit. Here's Pastor Aaron.
And that reminds me of Romans chapter 10, verse 17. It says, faith comes by hearing the word of God. So it is a fact that faith comes by hearing. So what are you listening to? What do you hear that impacts your decisions? That's why there's so many recommendations on devotionals or starting your day in the Bible or prayer or daily affirmations, whatever, because you can hear yourself. So think about songs that you listen to that take you right back to a memory, right? So what you hear kind of puts you in a certain direction. Faith comes by hearing, comma, hearing the word of God. So you can have a faith in God, or you can have a faith in yourself. You can have a negative faith, which is doubt, all predicated on what you're hearing. Because look what it says in verse 42. It is no longer because of what you said that we believe, talking about the woman, for we have heard for ourselves, and we know that this is indeed the Savior of the world.
So
Yeah. I think there's something that I think we miss a lot of times, or guys miss a lot of times. And you talked about, like, trying to add stuff onto our plate and trying to make sure that we could do it all. There's things that we do in life that we could probably do on our own. And this is something, like, most guys can change the oil in the car, right? Like we all have at least seen it done. 'Cause it's a pretty straightforward thing to do, but for whatever reason, right, we still take it to the oil change place, or we still take it to the dealership and let them do it, right? We could do it by ourselves, but we delegate that task to somebody else to free us up to be able to do the other things that we want to do, right? I think, coaching is the same way. Like, we could Google a bunch of things and find some workouts on bodybuilding.com, or, you know what I mean? Or we could YouTube some stuff and say, this is what we're going to do. But that requires a lot more brain power. It requires a lot more thought, right? It requires some mental stamina, a stick-to-itiveness and things like that we have to. And then there's no context really around it, right? When we find those workouts, it's just somebody had written it up and said, this is the best chest workout or whatever, right? But there's no context, no progression. It's literally one workout in a phase of workouts. If we can delegate a task to get it done more efficiently, to free us up, because what I understand now as a father and as a man, as busy as I am, as many hats as I wear and as many things as I do, the more I can delegate, the better that thing gets done, but then also the better the other things get done, right? Because my attention isn't spread so thin. And so I'm learning now to delegate as much as I can so I can really focus on the things that are my priorities, right? Because my priorities are going to get the majority of my time. And then I have all these auxiliary things that I do as well. And the more auxiliary things I have to think about or dedicate time to, the less my priorities get. So if I have to spend time figuring out a workout, and figuring out how much rest I have to get, thinking about what I'm going to eat and all that. Like, there's so many things that take away time where I could be better spending that time with my family, or even just thinking about things that I could be doing with my family. Like, that's brain power that, I've only got so much bandwidth, and I think we have more than we actually do. And then we end up burnt out, frustrated, overwhelmed. So delegate it, right? Find somebody right here, find somebody that could handle that for you. To set you up on a path where all you have to do is show up and execute, right? I think a lot of us as men, there's a reason why we do well with checklists. The reason why we do well with directions or instructions is that we can execute, right? We are about action. We can get the job done. The other parts of it is what hamstrings us, right? Like, all the other things that we have to do in order to get to execution is like the stuff that stops us from executing, right? And so a coach cuts that out, right? They give you what you need to execute, and they say, hey, go execute, right? Like, they teach you the tools, or they give you the tools, and now it's your job to use them. So I think what you're saying is 100% correct. And I think more guys have to delegate, the tasks that are important, but maybe not the biggest priority, right? Like, fitness for everyone is not going to be as important as it is to you and I. Mm-hmm. But it is important in order for you to live a better quality life, to be a father for as long as you want to be a grandparent, to be a great grandparent, right? You're going to have some level of fitness in order to make it to that point. Like, that journey is a long one. And if you aren't taking care of your body, you're not going to make it there. Mm-hmm. So you do need to focus on fitness, but maybe it's not as big of a priority as it is to us, but it is something that and even more so, right? The less of a priority it is for you, the more you should delegate. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if it's not at the top of the list of things to get done, it's definitely not going to get done if you don't have somebody else set you up for success. Right? Yeah. Like, if the scheduled maintenance in the car, like, if they don't send me the reminder, I'm blowing past 60,000 miles. Like, I'm not thinking, if the light doesn't come on, I'm just driving because I got stuff I got to do. I don't have time to be thinking about what 47-point inspection needs to go on. They got to send me an email or I'm not coming in. And the same way coaching is like we've got so much stuff going on in our life. If we don't have somebody to lock us into the importance of that and set it up for us, we're less likely to get it done. I do want to mention some of the stuff that you mentioned just now, having the sets and reps available to you, being able to communicate with somebody about how the workout is going, having it kind of be, like you said, written in pencil, making adjustments, the rest periods, all that stuff is stuff that we don't think about when we go into a program that a coach is able to provide for us. And specifically in future inside the app, there's all of these parts of it that I don't even think about until I'm using them. Right. It's like the rest period in between. Like I know I need to rest. Right. But like, it's different when you're working out by yourself. You don't really keep track of that. Like, I'm not on my watch, like, all right, 45 seconds, like, having it giving me alert and know how much time has gone by. Now I know I need to lift, having the instruction, having the video, having you pop in from time to time and remind me, hey, these are supposed to be eccentrics. What the H are you doing? Right. Being able to give feedback and get feedback, I think, is really important. And accountability and encouragement and all those things, I think, are super, super important if we're going to add fitness as something that we need to do. And we're saying it's important. We understand it's important, but how do we do it? And I think, getting a coach is the easiest way for us to get to that point. Again, if you don't have it as a priority for yourself right now, I think coaching puts the emphasis on it, and then takes away some of the guesswork.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us too, man, we don't love to delegate. We love to do everything on our own, right? We're dudes. We like, I got it. I'll do it. A house project, I got it. This, I got it. And sometimes, like you said, man, like just delegate it. It's gonna free up so much mental energy and probably physical energy and time for the things that might be a bigger priority. Fitness and training and working out, it's not at the top of everybody's list, and it doesn't need to be. And if you can delegate all of the barriers that make fitness hard for you, or a lot of them, figuring out what to do, how much weight, what exercises, how often, this, that, delegate to somebody else. You don't have to think about it. You just got to show up and do the workout. And now something that was taking you a ton of mental energy to figure out, you weren't confident in what you were doing because you didn't know and it wasn't specifically built for you. You just found it on YouTube or on Google. It's all taken care of. All that time, the energy, why am I doing this? All of those questions have been answered and you're just showing up and doing the work. And any task that you can delegate, that's something I've been trying to be more and more okay with, is asking for help, delegating when and where, and say, okay, this normally may have taken me 6 hours. I had someone else do it and I didn't have to think about it. Whatever the task is. I mean, dude, it's a huge unlock for us to save us mental and physical energy. That's what we do at Future, and some of the things that we can do, how you're paired with an athlete and a coach. It's all personal based on your goals, your equipment, your current training status, your injury history. Like it doesn't get any more kind of like streamlined and one-on-one, like personal training through a remote setting than that. And I think that just saves us as guys a ton of physical and mental energy and unlocks us to perform better in other areas, as well as crush it in the gym with our training. So yeah, man, I think it's all spot on.
Yeah, and there's huge value to it. I think a lot of times when we think about getting a coach, our first thought is like cost, right? Like how it's going to cost us a bunch of money, or it's going to cost just extra money. Maybe not even a bunch of money, it's going to cost money, right? But I think the value of the things that you just talked about, right? The mental clarity, the mental energy that you're saving, the time that it would normally take for you to get to your goal is shortened drastically. And so that time, we all understand that time is money. So the more time that I can give myself back by delegating, like if I send some dollars out and I get more time, that's a win-win for me. Because I know that my time, I'm not going to get back. I can go make some more money, right? I could figure out how to get some more dollars in, but I can't get back any more time. So the more things, like I said, I got my priorities, and then everything else, the more that I can delegate that, the more the time that I get to put into my priorities. Mm-hmm. The more quality time too, because I could get more time into my priorities, but if I'm only at 50%, or I'm thinking about other things, or I'm stressed, or I'm not physically capable of like we mentioned earlier, you were talking about like when you have a young a young kid, you're like up and down. You're picking them up. You're running you're chasing them all over the place. They're doing all kinds of crazy. They want to go outside and play and all that stuff. If you don't have the energy to do that, and you're only at 50% during that time, it not only sucks for them, it sucks for you. Because regardless of how you feel about it, you're not happy when you can't go outside and play with the kids, or you're too tired and you're like, Dad needs to lay on the couch. Like you say that and you take pride in the fact that you went out and worked hard and brought home to the family, but underneath, that sucks, right? Like, that's not a good feeling. And so you have to do something about it. You have to get yourself to a point where you can physically, mentally, and emotionally be there and be present. And the way to do that is through taking care of your body. Like this is one of those, rising tides raise all ships. If you can improve your physical health, then your ability to perform at any other title, any other task drastically increase, right? Your stress levels go down, your energy levels go up, you think clearer, you're obviously stronger, like doing the everyday stuff doesn't hurt. You wake up in the morning and you actually feel good, right? You don't wake up and feel like crap. And then you can go out and address the day accordingly and with a better stance. So do what you're going to do, right? Like I can't make anybody drink water, but you have to do what you have to do in order to be the man that you say you want to be. And I think fitness is one of those things that checks off so many boxes, right? Like there's some stuff that you can do that like answers one or two questions, but I think fitness hits them all, right? There's something you're going to gain mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? There's something to be gained from exercise and a consistent routine that I don't really think very many other things can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. And that's the beautiful thing about fitness. And there's so many, there's so many things you could do, so many ways to do it. And yeah, like the carryover into everything else in life and the ripple effect that it has. You start training, you're probably going to want to make better choices around your diet. And you're probably going to want to stop drinking as much. And you're probably going to want to go to bed a little bit sooner. And you're probably going to want to be more active with your kids. And it's just going to make everything else in life better, stronger. Just the return on investment you get from training and taking care of yourself, it pays back in every area, like you said, from physical to mental, emotional, the reduced stress, the clarity, all of these things, they improve by working out. And it's, it won't be like an overnight thing, and it won't be like this huge breakthrough you have because you did a few bicep curls and if you hit the bench a little bit. But over time, you start to become basically a different person through all this. You're getting better in every area by simply showing up, putting in some work on yourself, and something that's going to benefit you, your family for a long time. It's a no-brainer that we all should be doing it to a pretty good extent, a few times every single week. And yeah, I think most of us get hung up on perfection over consistency and thinking whether it's in training, like I missed Monday, so the week is shot, or I had pizza for dinner, so I'm going to have a tub of ice cream for dessert. We don't need to be perfect, and there's no perfect plan. But if we can consistently hit B+ workouts and consistently show up over time, hit singles and doubles, and eventually those will turn into home runs along the way. And I think like having that mindset to just show up and do good work more often than not, it's going to lead to a lot of great changes in so many areas of life.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we talked about, and we could probably come back for another. I actually have an idea that I'm gonna talk to you about after this, but there's probably tons of stuff that we can talk about, and we've talked about a lot already. But this being a fatherhood podcast and us talking fatherhood and fitness, I guess I gotta ask, what does fatherhood mean to you?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
So fatherhood, man, it's funny that if you were to ask me this before we had a baby, I know my answer would probably have been something a lot different than what it is now. And even after she was, we'll say 6 months old, it probably will change again in 6 more months from now. But for me, fatherhood and being a dad it's all about creating something special for that immediate family that you have. And whether it's 3 kids, 5 kids, 1 kid, you're trying to create something special, lead by example, and provide, protect, and give someone a chance to live an amazing life. Like for me, and with our one daughter right now, how can I provide for her? How can I protect her? And how can I give her a chance, give her an opportunity to live, love, succeed, to fail, to learn, to grow? how can I kind of pave the way for her to do all these things? And I feel like for me, it's a journey I'm always going to be on, is how can I keep doing these things at a high level and helping her? But yeah, man, I think for me, just fatherhood is about creating something special for your family and giving them an opportunity to live, to love, to fail, to succeed, and to grow into a contributor to society, which is not easy these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think you're spot on there, and I do think that you're gonna notice as Layla grows and gets older, in 6 month, in 1 month, in 1 year, in 5 year increments, how much things change in your views on fatherhood. This being the core, because this is how it started in your mind, and then just kind of how it builds and gets and expands to what fatherhood is and can be as you go through the phases of like caretaker to coach to consultant to whatever different phases of fatherhood. You're going to see how much things change for you. And so I'm excited for you and your journey, but I think you hit it right on the head there. I got a second question, kind of a 2-part question. Obviously, we've been talking about fatherhood and talking to fathers because that's who's listening to the podcast. But if they were to grab onto one thing that you want them to learn from this episode, or one thing that you want them to hear, what would that be?
Yeah, it would be to consistently show up and keep doing the work. This is, like we've talked about, I've got a 1-year-old at home, and it's not easy. We're all in different stages, but if we can continue to show up and do the work, and that means as a dad, as a husband, in our career, for our personal growth and development in different areas, if we can consistently just show up and keep doing the work, we're going to be proud of who we are, be proud of the people around us and the family that we have grown and the family that we're leading. So just consistently keep showing up, doing the work. And man, I'll say, give yourself grace as well. Like this isn't easy, man. None of us have the answers to all of it. We're all going through this thing together, man. And I think giving yourself grace and just try to show up the next day strong, prepared, and willing to lead, love, and care. Do that over time, and I think we'll be proud of what happens next.
Awesome. I got a second part to that, man. I mean, she's 20 months now, so she's not listening to the podcast, but she will at some point, right? At some point, she'll be curious about dad, and she'll go back and she'll listen to all your podcasts, and she'll watch she'll look at your videos on YouTube. She'll replay some of your old races. But once she gets to this podcast and she makes it to the end of it, and she's already super proud of hearing all the stuff that you said about her and about fatherhood. She gets to the end, and here she is. Now she's listening to this part. What do you want her to hear?
I want her to know that I might be a little bit skinnier than I am, but I did once deadlift 550 pounds for reps and squatted 405. No, but I think aside from all that fun stuff, man, I would want her to know that I love being her dad. It's my favorite thing. And it's cliche. I tell her this every night before bed when I put her to bed, that I'm proud of her. I love being her dad, and it's my favorite job in the world. And for me, man, I want to be at my best for her. I want her to get the best of me every single day. And I would want her to know that me and her mom, my wife, Shauna, we are trying our asses off to provide, to protect, to lead, to love, and to be the best parents we could be for her, to be a great example. And we love being her mom and dad, man. It's our favorite thing. As much as, it's hard some days and challenges and all that stuff, there's nothing better than waking her up in the morning and hearing her say, Dad, Mama, seeing her little smile, seeing her run around, man, there's nothing better. And I would just want her to know that I love being her dad. And I hope she finds something that she's passionate about, that she loves, and she pursues it, relentlessly, and she's gonna be great.
Awesome. I'm sure when she hears that, she's gonna be uplifted and excited to hear it. So that's awesome. All right, Matt, we gotta close up shop here. Like I said, I think we have more conversation to be had. I think there's more things for us to talk about. I obviously enjoy having you on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and out of your schedule. I know as fathers, we're always super busy. We've got tons of things going on. You probably got like a 27-mile run to do or something crazy. But if guys are wanting to reach out to you, guys are wanting to connect with you, or look to try to get in touch with you, maybe coaching wise, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's my name at Matt Fleekop, Facebook, and email mattfleekop@gmail.com. I'd be happy to talk shop, have a conversation, use social media socially with anybody out there. And again, yeah, social media, Instagram at Matt Fleekop is probably the best spot to reach out to me.
Awesome. We'll make sure we get that in the show notes. We'll make sure we provide the link to help guys, connect with you, whether it be coaching or just to say, hey, man, great episode. Appreciate all the work you're doing. Any closing thoughts? You don't have to have anything, but I figure I'd throw that out there just in case you got something you wanted to say. What did I miss?
Nah, I think we covered a lot, man. I'd love to hop on and cover anything else, but it's been great talking shop a little bit. Just for everybody out there listening, thank you for listening, tuning in as always, and kick ass today, man. Have a great one.
Awesome. Yeah, you kick ass. And if you do have a long run, share it. Obviously you got to do your thing, but I'm not jumping on board.
When you see a random 15-mile run on the program next week, now you'll know why.
Yeah, it'll be skipped.
Yeah, missed workout.
Yeah, man, my legs, the way they're set up, they just don't. No, I appreciate you, man. I thank you for taking the time out. And I will be talking soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.